Call this regular city council meeting for Monday, November 11th, 2024 to order. All rise for the pledge of allegiance, please. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Lanyon.
Present.
Pratt. Jenkins.
Here.
Van Allsburg.
Here.
Rhines.
Here.
Gilroy.
Here.
Hanson.
Councilman Hanson did inform me that he was going to be absent this evening. He's actually attending the Veterans Dinner, and so I would entertain a motion to excuse his absence. Oh, thank you both. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now I'm looking for approval of this evening's agenda, unless there's changes that need to be made.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Support.
Thank you both. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have an opportunity for audience participation with a maximum of 5 minutes per presentation, if anybody would like to come forward at this time. All right, moving on our agenda, we have our council meeting minutes of October 28th, 2024. I'm looking for approval unless there are changes that need to be noted.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Brandon, you had an opportunity to review accounts payable for this evening.
I did. It's a pretty small bill we have this time. There's a few things that aren't normal. We had some electric repair in the park. We had some cross connections. We did a payment on our 2017 capital improvement bond, which was a big majority of what we paid for this go around. But other than that, everything else was pretty standard. So unless anyone has any questions, I will make a motion to approve checks 77926 through 77945, ACH 1181 through 1195, for a grand total of $155,476.81.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions regarding any of our invoices this week? If not, I'll look for support to that motion.
Support.
Thank you. Because this is accounts payable, Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Van Allsburg.
Yes.
Rhines.
Yes.
Gilroy.
Yes.
Lanyon.
Yes.
Pratt.
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
All right, we have 3 action items on our agenda this evening. The first is our approval of the agreement with the CCLP, which is the Williamston Police Officers Union, and we have a memo in our packet. I will go ahead and turn this over to our city manager, John Hannafin.
Thank you. Pleased to announce that we reached a tentative agreement with CCLP. It's tentative because we agreed in principle and their union did vote for it, and the contract is not final until council takes action. It is a 4-year labor agreement, which I think traditionally they've been 3 years here, but 4 years is always good if both sides can agree to that. I did highlight the economic changes, primary one being wages over the 4-year contract. There's an increase of $1 per hour at the top of the wage scale for year 1, but with a trade-off of eliminating longevity. 35-cent shift differential for 6P to 6A. 2 hours of compensation for a field training officer, and that's when our officers are riding along with new officers. An increase in personal leave, and then increase in the healthcare reimbursement account. The other thing I included were the agreed upon changes to the existing agreement. There were a lot of them. A lot of them were cleanup language, centering around arbitration. Let's see here, go over some of the highlights of those for you. MCOL's disclosure, that's down a little bit, and that's just simply being in line with PA 128 of 2017. So union wanted that reference in our agreement. I mean, it's certainly something we do as the employer anyway, so we had no issue with that. One of the other, I guess, substantial non-economic changes, in our old agreement, there was a clause that part-timers could only be employed for 90 continuous days, and at that time there'd have to be a separation. They could come back at a later date, but it was really open-ended. And in the union and management, which is myself and the chief, did agree, our intent with part-timers is never to supplant full-time officers, but we do need, from time to time, especially in the last couple of years, we've had to supplement with part-timers. And so the union was certainly understood that, and I think we came with language that is, frankly, they suggested the language and we accepted it because it met, a standard that works for both of us. So, happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, it was a good negotiation. It was the first time negotiating with CCLP here, and I appreciated their professionalism and their willingness to sit down and discuss it.
All right, yes, Scott, go
Yes,
ahead.
was the police chief on board that this situation, the way it's proposed, is good to get new people and he needs to, et cetera, way high enough wages, good enough benefits?
Yes.
He's okay with it?
Yep.
Any other questions? Yes, Dan?
This may be getting too far into the weeds, but I was just reading this and I was curious. So, section 1B, we're striking officer and switching that to employee, and we're talking about experienced hires, but then it's still required that you, professional experience as a sworn officer. So why was the request for that language?
It's pretty consistent to go to employee across the entire agreement. I can tell you that we have one non-union civilian aide, and then the police chief are not union, and then beyond that, you never say never, but I can't see, unless we, grew substantially in size, both population and geography, that we would add anything beyond that as far as like civilian support. We're not gonna have a dispatch center, we have that through the counties.
Gotcha, I was just curious.
Yep, no, it was a good catch, I had the same question.
Good
So,
question.
yeah.
Any other questions for John? All right, I'm looking for that motion to move it forward.
I'll make a motion to approve the agreement with CCLP with effective dates January 1st, 2025 through December 31st, 2028.
All right, thank you. And do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Grimes,
Yes.
Gilroy,
Yes.
Langen,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
All right. Next on our action items is our non-union wage adjustment. Again, we have a memo in our packet from our city manager, John Hanneman. I will turn it over to him.
Thank you. This is something that is reviewed annually. Wage adjustments have traditionally been done in the city for all bargaining unions and non-unions in the middle of the fiscal year, the beginning of the new calendar year. And put a little bit of background in there, but just to recap the bidding for folks, our non-union employees include the clerk, deputy clerk, treasurer, deputy treasurer, police chief, police administrative assistant, the operations supervisors for DPW, wastewater, and water, and myself, but I am not covered in this. We handled that last time during my evaluation. That would be separate moving forward. And just for the record, that was not at my suggestion, that was at council's. So what we're asking for is a 5% wage increase for non-union employees beginning January 1st. The net increase for that change is approximately $31,500, assuming that we're full staff at 9 full-time employees, which we are. Do want to point out that last year around this time, we did effectively eliminate the GIS specialist position, and the city engineer position wasn't eliminated. It's been really cut into a few different pieces. One, DPW operations supervisor, and then using contracted engineering services. But that was a net decrease of approximately $175,000 to move on from those two positions. So, happy to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Yes, Scott?
So the city, Scott DeVries' position was replaced by what you said.
Correct.
Is that resulting in less expenditure?
It is.
It is. It's still the same of getting the job done, obviously, otherwise you wouldn't recommend it.
Dan?
So that's why we frequently see the general, I'm forgetting his name from Spicer here. That's
Bill.
when we have those larger projects, things that Scott would have been more involved with on the engineering side. And John is not comfortable dealing with it. We farm a lot of that out to Spicer, or when we had the Putnam Street going and all the other road construction, a lot of times they were more involved than where Scott would have been doing a lot of that.
Good.
But so the 175, I believe, is
Salary
without
and
what,
benefits.
that's the salary and benefits, and what we, on top of that, what we would have been paying the GIS.
Right.
And so we take from that kitty, we take some to Spicer, and this is what we have left over.
Alright.
Perfect explanation, Dan, thank you. Does anybody have any other questions? If not, I'm looking for the requested action.
I'd move that we approve 5% wage adjustments for non-union city employees effective January 1st, 2025.
Thank you so much. Do I have support?
Support.
Thank you. Holly, will you call the roll?
Gilroy,
Yes.
Lanyon,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Rhines.
Yes.
All right, our last action item of this evening is our 2025 ASME adjustments. And again, we have a memo in our packet, so I will turn that over to our city manager, John Hannafin.
Thank you. So third verse, same as the first one. In the ASME contract, it does have a Me Too clause for wages. That's starting in 2025. Employer will provide the same wage increase of any as non-union employees. We do have currently, we have 6 full-time union employees covered in ASME. We have 5 current, we do have 1 vacancy. Steve Crandall, who was a non-union water, wastewater, maintenance supervisor, retired in October. And so we're bringing in a union water, well, it's utility operator is the name of the position. The primary function will be at the wastewater plant, which is what Mr. Crandall's was. But this employee will also help with the help with the water plant as necessary, and then also help with general DPW activities. And that's part of the job description. And that's really, it's really I guess the model moving forward. And it's a model that, served me well as a manager for, 20 plus years, to having flexibility. Certainly, appreciate and understand employees wanting union protection, but this was a time where it made sense to bring that position back into the union.
Great. Any questions?
So that's an open position, not filled yet?
Yep, so we're, tomorrow, we posted it internally first, and that's per contract, so that's 7 days, I think. And I think the posting for that is internally is done tomorrow. And then if nobody signs to the interview, then we would advertise to the wide world.
Okay, great. I'm looking for the motion to move it forward.
Make a motion to approve wage adjustments for ASME employees effective January 1st, 2025.
Thank you. Do I have support?
Second.
Thank you. If there's no other questions or discussion, Holly, will you call the roll, please?
Lanyon,
Yes.
Pratt,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Van Osberg,
Yes.
Rhines,
Yes.
Gilroy.
Yes. All right, that concludes our action items for this evening. Moving along our agenda to our discussion items, we have our 3 usual suspects, our construction project updates, our master plan update, and our main 4 safety improvements. All these will be covered by our city manager, John Hannafin, so I will turn this over to him.
On construction, we did do a total of 4, 2 on Wynn and 2 on South Street. We did some manhole repairs and rim elevation adjustments. We still have a number of those across the city to fix in the coming years. So if you see the cones out, those of you that live on William Street have probably seen that. That's what those are for. Should be able to take the cones out the next day or so. I just wanted to make sure the concrete cured well. That's something we, excuse me, we likely won't do any more of those. I mean, the weather's been pretty good. There's a couple more on our list. The primary ones we'll be focusing on next. There is one, it's just, I'm trying to think if it's north or south of Middle Street. It's on South Putnam. It's on the northbound lane. You've probably driven over it. We did one last year too, but we've got a number of them, a couple on Church Street as well. So we'll be focusing on that. We did do the punch list item at the North Putnam, the condos. They're on the other side of the sidewalk and their drive apron. We had to repair that, so we did that, and we did do some steel plating over the top of it so that concrete could cure, and so that was removed, so that's good. So we're moving along fine on construction, and I'm gonna mention this now so I don't forget. With leaf pickup, we've got a couple of questions from folks about how long will that continue, and we'll keep doing that. I mean, usually the limiting factor for that is, it snows before all the leaves really come down. So looks like the next 10 days or so we'll have good weather, and we'll keep doing leaves. As a primary function, we have other things to do, of course, like brush and whatnot. And then I was speaking with Ray Schmidt, DPW today, something that we used to do in our last community is we would do a spring leaf collection. And again, it's just, throw it out there for a week or so, because not everybody gets all their leaves, and, leaves don't always cooperate, don't come down at the same time. But just wanted to mention that, but we'll continue our way through town. Last thing on leaves, gotta make sure that, the service is provided for individual homeowners, it's not for people who have landscape businesses to go out and charge other folks and then pool them in the street. And, we're, as far as enforcement, we're a pretty forgiving and understanding community, but I just wanted to say that in the council meeting, that we're aware of a couple of those situations, and we'll talk to those individuals and, hope that they comply moving forward.
Sure.
Where do these leaves go?
So, they go two places. One, they go to our DPW, or our well field yard, kind of way north of like where the plant is. They
Okay,
return for a while, and then we do haul them off to a compost facility.
okay.
Yep, good question.
Thank you.
All right.
Master plan update, we had our work session last week. I thought it was really good. We started talking about goals and objectives, and we spent about an hour and a half. It was probably the longest that we spent. I was probably talking way too much. Mayor Pro Tem can, cover that under his.
I would never say such a thing.
I think you would. So we'll likely have a site plan to review in December for planning. But we had talked about a joint session with council, planning, and DDA to help finalize the goals and objectives for their master plan. So look for that on your schedule. What we're targeting, I think it was January 14th, the second full week of January for that. But discussion's been really good, again, focusing on, our land use types I think are good. I think, there's certain overlay zoning districts that we talked about, the Williamston Road overlay of making that better, and then also looking at overlays along the Grand River corridor. And you overlay as you have your base zoning, but then you have certain things that you want to see in certain areas. Like, for example, if we wanted to protect the residential integrity of West Grand River, you would have zoning language to that effect that would, limit the proliferation of commercial establishments along that corridor. So that's that. So that's going well, and we're right on schedule as to where we would need to be. I do not have a main 4 update today. I had hoped to get an answer back from MDOT, but then I realized it was Veterans Day and they were not open today. So, but we haven't forgotten that one. We're still on them for some follow-up on that initial design plan that we sent them.
All right. Okay. Any questions for John regarding, yes, Steve?
On the Lloyd Street project, there are probably 6 or 8 orange cones that have been sitting down there for quite a while. I'm not sure what they're for, if they just forgot about them. But they're there. I can probably use them in my yard if they're going to continue to stay there. And what's the status of the consumers
I was gonna ask the
project?
exact same thing.
I would say they're, again, getting closer. They're starting to backfill. But I guess that's the best I can tell you. I think they're substantially complete. I mean, the wall's done, and it doesn't look like they're. I drove down there today and talked to the people on site, and they said they were closed, but no one said we're gonna be done Thursday at noon or anything like that.
There's still a requirement to have the cones all the way back up.
State highway, and so
Yeah.
you gotta remember, it's under the jurisdiction of MDOT, and if they're taking equipment on and off the state highway, that's the requirement that they need to get from the state in order to do work in that right of way.
Weren't they anticipating being done by November 1st?
Yep.
And are we still charging them rental space for our Dahlstrom
Correct.
parking lot? Okay, all right, great. Well, hopefully before Thanksgiving they'll be done. That'd be nice. Or before snow. All right, any other questions regarding our discussion items? No? All right, we'll move along on our agenda. Correspondence received, information only, we did not have anything. We'll go right into the department head reports. John, back to you. Lot for you tonight.
I'll talk fast. Faster than normal anyway. So Tifa and DDA meet next week. Tifa, we're gonna be meeting at 781 Progress Court, because we're talking about projects potentially that are in the Tifa district down there. So we'll be over there. And then DDA, we're meeting here as normal, and we're gonna talk, it's somewhat of a reboot of all things DDA. We have a number of new members, and we're gonna talk about you know, what the DDA is, what it can and can't do, you know, the district, and then also an eye on the DDA plan and you know, things like, I think we're doing really well with events and promotion, but it's the other things, it's a consistent wayfinding signage, it's renewing the banners that we have in the downtown and things like that, so that will be a DDA next week.
All right, great. And Chief is not here, however, we do have his monthly report in our packet. I'll just go over it really quick on his behalf. It is the report for October 24th, or 2024. Calls for service, they had 261, 171 property checks, 66 traffic stops, 60 verbal warnings, 11 arrests, 10 citations issued, 8 accident reports, 17 calls for assistance, and 28 community policing activities. We'll make sure that he gives us an update on those community policing activities when he's with us again. Looks like the officers participated in several different items. To note, they were escorts for the boys soccer team to state finals. They escorted the cross-country team as well to finals. They assisted with traffic control for the elementary school Halloween parade, and also attending various fall sporting events. And as they transition into winter, they'll still be attending those fall sporting events. I believe basketball is on the horizon for the high school teams and middle school teams. So we look forward to hearing about all of that good stuff happening.
If I could.
Yes.
This, a county nearby, they had a public safety millage that failed, and so that suddenly created a candidates of folks looking for police jobs. So there's an experienced group of folks that I know Chief has set for interviews for our vacant position. So,
Excellent.
had a village of town?
this is Eaton County.
No? Okay.
So
All right.
the number of experienced officers there, that could be potential Williamston police officers, whether it's full or part-time. So Chief was, you know, again, it's unfortunate for that county, but, you know, it is a competitive
Competitive market.
employment
Yeah.
situation.
Absolutely, well, thank you for that update. Also in our packet, we have our Livingston County Department of Building and Safety Engineering. I was just going through this, and there's still a lot of work being done commercially and also residentially, especially out at our Lynn Road subdivision, Little John, and it's like Little John Path and Nottingham Forest. So it's good to see that there's still activity going this late into the year. If you do have any questions regarding what's happening, you can certainly reach out to City Manager John Hannafin. He can get those questions answered for us from the Livingston County Department of Building and Safety Engineering. Committee, subcommittee reports. Anyone have their meetings that they attended? Yes.
Speaking on the chief real quick, I know we've had conversation in the past about enforcement and how we want Williamston to be. And as someone who works in downtown Lansing every day and deals with their parking Gestapo on a daily basis, I appreciate that our officers are always focused on education and not just throwing out citations when they can. We had someone working at our house, they didn't know they couldn't park on the street there, and instead of just immediately writing a ticket and having the car code, he came and knocked on the door and waited and said, hey, can you get them to move? I don't want to have to write them a ticket.
Nice.
So I appreciate that's our mentality here and not just trying to write tickets.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Absolutely.
In terms of committees, we did have a planning committee. We did have a turnover in the staff from, I'm blanking on the name.
McKenna.
We had 2 new individuals there, so they were playing a little bit of catch up. And so we did go over goals and things like that. I think they were, as future Councilman Ludwig can attest to as well, I think they were learning our lingo and like what we see, because there were a couple of times where we thought we were explaining what we wanted, and they're like, well, what about this? I'm like, we just said that. So I think it is gonna be a little growing process there, but I think we are making good progress there. And John did a phenomenal job that meeting of keeping us on track, because I think if he hadn't been running the meeting, it could have been a 3-hour meeting. Because there was like a 6-page list of like all the goals, and they wanted an individual line go through about it. And I didn't, yeah. But we all, as city manager mentioned, I think there is going to be something coming up in the future And maybe potentially in a future role where I'm on planning commission and not on here, maybe involved in that. But it would be something that's closer to the freeway, a new building that is looking to go in there. So we're getting information on that, and that could be an exciting new addition to our land down there, so.
Great, thanks. Anyone else have any meetings that they attended? All right. Another opportunity for audience participation with a maximum of 5 minutes per presentation. My fellow council members don't want to say anything? Future?
John, the only question that I had with the contracts that you ratified, is that 5% every year?
There was only one contract, and it is 5% every year. Yes.
Okay, compounded, I'm assuming?
Correct.
Great. Well, and for our viewing audience, we have our future council members in the audience, so we look forward to having them join us. We're sad that we're going to be losing a couple council members, but I appreciate the fact that they are going to be joining us in December. Council member comments, I'll start with Tom.
I'm good.
All right, Steve?
Question, parade of lights is less than a month away. Is there
Yes.
anything that we need to do or can do to,
Can you put something in the parade? We're looking for over 100 participants in the parade. Can you be in the parade?
can I come as a Lion fan?
Yes, absolutely.
As long as you're lit up with lights.
Yeah, battery powered, all
So-
that.
Oh, that kind of lit up.
That's
I was
a
going-
great, yeah.
Yeah.
Short answer to that is, we have it posted on our website and our social media, the link to parade sign off. I
Yep.
mean, Williamston Events it's Susan Bird does a great job
She's
with that. She's
phenomenal.
doing a really nice job of hitting the streets and letting folks know about it. And we're starting to get parade entries as well as parade sponsorships rolling in. So it's going well.
So you have to be, either have lights on you or be stumbling, is that it?
Oh, you said lit up, I just.
I know, yeah, I picked up
Working
on
on
it.
those. You can do both things.
Brandon?
All right.
Focusing solely on the city of Williamston and not dealing with politics at all, I want to thank Holly for running a phenomenal election for us. I had the pleasure of working several days on her team, and having worked in elections for my entire career, she runs one of the smoothest operations I've ever seen. I mean, this time went off without a hitch. We didn't have a single problem that was not resolved within a couple of minutes. Even on election day, we had several voters who were registering same day. It was a whole learning process for me who hadn't done that before, and every step of the way was boom, boom, boom on top of it. So, I mean, I can't thank her enough for running such a clean operation that instills trust in people who had questions, and there were, about the efficacy of our elections. But for her organization and process, getting everyone straightened up, it wouldn't be as smooth as it is. So I want to make sure she's thanked for all of her efforts.
Absolutely. Fantastic, thank you. Scott?
Yeah, just a quick comment on the senior center, it's cool to see the change from where they were to where they are, very much appreciated.
Great, thanks. Dan?
Two things real quick. One is, we've spent a lot of time over the last 5+ years trying to figure out the pedestrian safety at the four corners, and we can do everything we can think of, working with MDOT and all that, and if the pedestrians themselves don't want to be safe, we can't help them. I had someone walk behind the car stopped on Grand River as I was turning left instead of walking through the pedestrian, and I'm sitting here pulling my hair out, and I'm going, what have we been doing for 5 or 6 years when that's what we're gonna do? But so please try and, you have to be safe as a pedestrian as well when you're trying to cross there. And then Holly and Barb just do an amazing job with the elections. There's things that always come up, working in a neighboring municipality, helping set things up. There's always stuff that, behind the scenes, when you're running any type of event, any type that pop up, and you have to work through it. And Holly and Barb do an amazing job doing that, and especially with the changes that have come, the extent going from an election day to election season. It's a long grind, and they do an amazing job with it. And just thank you too for that.
I'll echo that. I've always been a traditionalist, and I like to come on election day. but I decided to change it up, and I came on Sunday, which was part of that early voting. For me personally, I think my ballot was counted as 510. Wow, that's amazing. For our municipality, the size of what we are, to be able to tackle early voting and within a day switch over to voting on election day. My hat is off to you, your staff, to Mayor Pro Tem for being there and witnessing it, as well as an election worker. And you do such a good job. You hold yourself in such high integrity, Holly. I've known that about you, for the past 10 years and even longer, because I know how long you've been here with the city of Williamston. So nobody try to steal her. She's ours, but she can probably write a really good, process for somebody as to how to run it so smoothly.
I did tell her there was a rash of clerks who weren't running again, and I told her she shouldn't dare to think about that. She's stuck with us forever.
She's fully vested here. I don't think we would let her go. I think we'd probably have to reject anything, but, again, you just do such a great job, and you just, are a consummate professional. And also the staff that is underneath you, that you get them trained up and they know what they're doing, and, it's just, I appreciate that so much. And like I texted you and Barb, I know it's your Super Bowl day. And so I'm glad that it went off without a hitch and that everything, went well. And, I think that's it for me. Election season is always, something to get excited about. I just want to thank our whole community for coming out and voting. Again, we've got our future council members in the gallery. We're excited to have them join this table, and I'm just happy for how everything has been handled, and look forward to a new year and goal setting and all of that good stuff, and winding up this year. I'll be sad when Brandon and Tom leave, as well I'm sure the rest of the council will be, but we know you guys will be far away because there is a seat on planning. So, if you're bored on a Monday night, come back. And, but with that, I think I will go ahead. It's not our shortest meeting, but it'll get people home in time to get ready for Monday Night Football. I will adjourn at 7:32.